6:15 last night.
Oh, my God. I think you picked him about 6:15 this morning. That's the only way you beat me, right?
I was still asleep at 6:15 this morning.
I was too. So a full slate of games last night. And by the way, I think I went to bed this morning about 3:30. Yeah. I really did. I think I was at 3:30. I was in pretty close to being asleep. A long night last night after high school football, a ton to get into. Let's get right into it, though, with the scores. High school football's back. Alex said it himself. We're back. We'll get into all that's happened over the last few weeks. But we had games last night. We had football last night, and that's something to be excited about. Alex guessed, was that week 7?
That was week 7, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I couldn't remember. The Hurricane
week 7
threw me for a loop. Week 7 scores. You want some music behind it, or what do you want?
You can do whatever you want to.
I mean, usually there's no music because
usually there's no music,
we're at Ingles. But I'm just thinking, hey, we're in studio. I mean, if you want a little music behind it, I can give you some music.
Whatever you want to do. Oh.
You like it?
You know who's back?
High school football, baby.
Malden's back.
They won a game.
36-28 over Easley last night. Malden, a big winner. Boiling Springs, 55-14 over Wade Hampton. Gaffney and Burns go to double overtime, a game that you and I both were at. A 15-9 winner for Gaffney last night. Riverside, 33-8 winners over Eastside. Spartanburg knocks off Dorman in the city rivalry. 23-7 final in that one. Lawrence, a 49-0 winner over Southside. Westside, 41-17 winners over Emerald. Wren knocks off Fountain Inn 49-12. Seneca blinks Berea 42-0. Greer, a 35-14 winner over Blue Ridge. Daniel, 54-0 over Travelers Rest. Walhalla, 20-7 over Pendleton. Crescent, 56-7 over West Oak. Palmetto, 21-10 over Southside Christian. Powdersville gets a 33-14 win over Christ Church. It is Mountain View coming with a big victory over Chapman, 27-9 last night. Union County, 28-22 winners over Broome. That game went to overtime.
Yeah, got that one wrong. I did.
Yeah, you did.
Don't even waste time.
I got that one wrong. That was the one that I got wrong.
Yeah, good. Yeah. We'll get to how we did last night.
Clinton, 46-21 winners over Chesney. Landrum defeats Blacksburg 28-6. Abbeville blinks Calhoun Falls 56-0. Whitmire, 38-18 over Dixie. Ware Shoals, 47-0 over McCormick. And Greenwood Christian defeats Thomas Sumter 48-19. And Cole, there are 5 games in our coverage area today.
Today? Football on a Saturday?
Yeah.
Why? Hurricane? People wanting to get more practice in?
I think so. And 3 of those 5 games are from 5A Region 1.
That's all. That is interesting.
So, the Greenwood game is at noon today. Hillcrest Jail Man is tonight. TL Hanna Woodmont is at noon today. And then at 1 p.m. today, St. Joe's and Carolina.
Wow.
And then tonight, Spartanburg Christian is at Towns County in Georgia.
Towns County.
Towns County. Yeah, Towns County. Yeah. I'm thinking about it, actually.
Yeah, I'm sure you are.
Yeah.
So 5 games today, as Alex Guest said. Those were the games from last night. Here's the deal. If you were at a game last night, maybe this is the first time listening to the Saturday Morning Scramble, you want to chime in, you can do so. Text line's open, 71307. Start your text with the word fan. Phone lines are also open, 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-3663. Alex, Matt M. from Gaffney chimes in on the text line, 71307. Matt M. says, Cole, how did you enjoy your Gaffney visit? It's Matt M. from Gaffney. Well, first of all, Matt, we appreciate you listening. I'll tell you this, man. I know you listened during the week as well. I was I had so much fun last night. I did not realize that, I guess I did realize, but I didn't. We had so many people walk up to the booth last night where I was sitting on the visitor side, Alex, and say, hey, man, I love the show. Love Wire to Wire with you and Diesel. I'm a big Tolo. Listen all the time. And, man, it blew my mind last night. It blew my mind. And really, that made my night. It really did. I got to see Tolo Phil. I got to see several other Tolos. I know Matt M. texted into the show yesterday. He was there. So that meant a lot. That was fun. Seeing a lot of you guys, a lot of our listeners up in Gaffney last night. And Alex, let's go ahead and get into that game because, as you mentioned, it was a game that you and I were both at last night. Gaffney Burns going into double overtime. If I would have told you last week that was what was going to happen, what would you have said to me? That you can't say on air.
I would have laughed. Well, here's the thing. At the beginning of the week, somebody told me, "Oh, Gaffney's going to roll all over Burns. This isn't even going to be close." That kind of talk.
Yeah.
And I stopped them and I said, "You got to remember, Gaffney's not played a football game in 21 days up to this point." We talked about it on the preview last night during halftime of the game.
Yeah.
How much have they practiced? How much have these teams practiced? I mean, maybe this week, maybe some late last week, but I mean, realistically, I didn't expect Gaffney to go out there and just roll over Burns and just, it be a 35-0 game at halftime. I know there were a lot of people that did think that, but to me, I thought that it would be more of like a two-score game, like a 14 or 17-point win for Gaffney. Look, when Gaffney and Burns play each other, it's going to be a good game, regardless of when it is. But and regardless of what the records are. But for me, I've seen a lot of good football over the years, and last night was not one of those games.
No, it wasn't particularly good football by any stretch. So here's the numbers you need to know from that game. Gaffney had 343 yards of total offense. Burns had 48 yards of total offense. Again, 343 yards of total offense from Gaffney and 48 total yards of offense from Burns. If I gave you that stat line and said, hey, look, Gaffney's going to have, near 350. Burns is only going to have 48 yards of total offense. There's no way you think that game's close.
No,
there's no way.
Shot.
However, it was a double overtime win for Gaffney, 15-9. If you would have told me it went a double overtime, I would have probably called you crazy. I will admit to that. If you would have told me that Gaffney, Alex, will not score a single touchdown in regulation, I would have said, there's no way.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way. Jamarcus Smith obviously started the game last night at quarterback, and what an athlete he is. I'll get into that in a few minutes because after I got home last night, just thinking about the game, I just kept thinking more and more about how good Jamarcus Smith is. He's one of the best players I've seen at the high school level in a very long time. A very long time. He was a difference maker. Javon Gilmore came in last night. Never really got into a rhythm or a groove, Alex. Javon Gilmore was 9 of 18. No touchdowns, no picks, 73 yards for the quarterback. Jamarcus Smith was 4 of 8. For Gaffney, on the Burns side of things, Kane Rogers was 15 of 24, 73 yards on the night, 0 touchdowns. And again, for those that don't know, net yardage is what we look at here when you talk about team statistics, Alex. Total offense for the Burns Rebels net, 48 yards. If you look at that team stat by itself, 343 compared to 48, Gaffney ran 70 plays last night. 70 plays compared to a 47 plays from the Burns Rebels. I mean, that statistic right there is mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. You and I were both there.
How many penalties were there?
A lot. A lot of holding calls as well. Gaffney, obviously, in my opinion, you talk about drive killers.
Mm-hmm.
Gaffney's got to figure out how to clean up some of those holding calls because those are drive killers. And they fumbled the ball in the end zone one time for a touchback and an interception on the first drive, the first play very early in the game. So I think that I'm with you. It was not good football by any stretch of the imagination. I told somebody last night it was so bad, it was entertaining. And that's the best way I could put it. It was
kind of like a circus.
Yeah, it was like who kind of wanted to lose more for a minute. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but it was so bad it was entertaining. Burns, you give them credit for the defensive effort they had last night for hanging in there. But offensively, there was just absolutely nothing last night. There was no threat whatsoever from the Burns Rebels on the offensive side of the football. But at the end of the day, it is a region game where the Gaffney Indians, Alex, advanced to 2-0 in the region. Burns Rebels fall to 2-1 in the region. And you said it, it's Burns Gaffney. A lot of times that, regardless of the records, that ends up being a very good game.
Well, here's the last thing that I'll say about it, Cole, is, I firmly believe that teams feed off of the energy and the atmosphere that the fans bring. And I was sitting in the stands for the majority of that game last night, and there was no energy until late in the fourth quarter when Burns tied that game.
Yeah. There was, to me, it was very loud at kickoff, and then after that, it was very quiet for a long time.
It was just, they were just, folks were just sitting there. They were watching, and a lot of it really to me was, hey, I hadn't seen you in 3 weeks, so I'm going to socialize with you, you know, and I get that, folks are going to go to football games. They're going to socialize with each other. But at the same time, there was just no energy, no atmosphere really. And it's not just from the Gaffney side. It also felt that way from the Burns side. Burns, I didn't really hear Burns fans get loud until they scored that touchdown late.
Well, they didn't offensively. There was,
sure. Well,
what are you going to cheer about 48 yards?
That's fair. But
texter from the 803 chimes in on the text line 71307. Texter says, when do Burns fans stop complaining about coaching and realize how hard these young Rebels fight? Texter says, everyone looks at 2-4 record. If you've actually watched the games, Burns is a play away in each game from 6-0. If they can find any offense, they are scary in playoffs. Texter, look, the last thing I'll say on the Burns Gaffney game before we move on to other games, we'll get back to it. We'll circle back to it now. We're number 2 of the program, but Gaffney, my thoughts on Gaffney Burns. Let's start with Gaffney. Gaffney's defense is elite. They've got playmakers everywhere. Their defensive line, the 3-down linemen, are as good as they get. Try running on them. Good luck. It's hard. Andrew Roop's unbelievable. We all knew that. That's no breaking news. And then when you have another guy like Zion Ratchford right beside them, they're deadly. Gaffney's defense is as good as I've seen in a very long time. Offensively, Gaffney's in a spot that they have to figure out what they're going to do because they have Javon Gilmore at quarterback, Alex. But I'll just tell you that they have more options in terms of being able to move the football when Jamarcus Smith's at quarterback. I'm not, calling for a quarterback change. However, what I will say is if you told me that Gaffney wins a state championship in 2024, I'll tell you that Jamarcus Smith is going to have a lot of touches at quarterback. He's just that good to me. And again, that's not taking anything away from Javon Gilmore, but Jamarcus Smith to me is one of the best high school football players I have seen in 12 years of doing this. I'm telling you, he's that good.
Yeah.
He's that good.
Yeah, and there was a point late in that game, Gaffney had their backs up against the wall. I think there was maybe 2.5 minutes left, something like that. Gaffney had their backs up against the wall. They needed to drive downfield to try for that at least game-winning field goal attempt. And the Gaffney coaching staff realized at the moment that they weren't able to move the ball with Javon in at quarterback. And so they put Jamarcus in for 2 snaps to try to move the ball a little bit, got a first down, gave themselves some space to get away from the shadow of their own goalpost, and then started moving the ball a little bit better once they had space. But, I think the Gaffney coaching staff realized that as well last night, Cole, at one point in time or another, that, hey, if we're going to give ourselves a chance to win this game in regulation, which they had the chance, 2 seconds left, a field goal attempt got blocked. But, I think they realized last night that if they give themselves a chance, then or if they give themselves some space and give Jamarcus the ball, they're giving themselves a chance. And I'll say also to that texter, Cole, I mean, they're exactly right. I mean, Burns has lost the 4 games they've lost this year have been by a total combined 25 points.
Yeah, they've been fourth quarter games. I mean, it's been close. The problem for Burns is they just don't have the offense. Burns doesn't have the offense. Burns' defense is getting better and better every game. They really are. And I'll tell you what, that was a good defense you saw last night.
Yeah.
If you were there at that game. And I know we had a lot of listeners who were there. That was a very good Gaffney defense. That was a very good Burns defense. Dan Jones, now all-time, Alex, 6-0 in overtime.
6-0 or 7-0?
6-0 is what I was told. Okay. Is it 7-0?
I think it's 7.
7? That's even more impressive.
I think it was 6 going into last night.
Well, that's even more
I don't
impressive.
know.
And 3-0 this year.
Yeah.
3-0 this year. So the Gaffney Indians.
That's impressive.
When they get to overtime, they're pretty good. 10 yards out, they're pretty good. That game went in double overtime last night. So Dan Jones is undefeated in his last season. I hope there's no more overtime games this year. I want him to stay undefeated, right? You just keep that record the way it is and don't have any more overtime games, because if you're undefeated in overtime, you know, that's really impressive. It really is. And again, they've played 3 overtime games this year, Alex. And that's a lot in one season, especially in the first half of the season. So, again, it was an interesting game, double overtime win for Gaffney over Burns. Gaffney now 2-0 in region play. Alex, the Burns Rebels 2-1 in region play. Gaffney plays Riverside next week, and Burns plays Eastside, both over playing Greenville County teams. What game in your mind, when you look at the scores, you gave the scores earlier in the game, or earlier in the show, rather, and we'll get back to that a little bit later in hour number 2. What game on the list, because I have one as well, what game stuck out to you, surprised you the most last night? And by the way, you had a good night with your picks. You went 19-1?
19-1.
You
had a good night. You were 17-3.
Yeah, not as good as 19-1, but 17-3 is good. It's good if you don't compare it to 19-1.
There's still 4 games today that we're picking that I could very well end up like 19-5.
That's good. That's hopefully so. Hopefully you do.
Only one of those we picked differently though. So
hopefully you do. And again, one of those Hillcrest JL, man, that's a big game today. And you said that's tonight?
That is a night game. I think I saw that it's 7 or 7:30. So.
That's awesome. That's a big game.
I might go to it.
You should.
Yeah, might be there.
Over in Greenville.
Yeah.
At JL Man?
Yeah, at JL Man, yeah.
How about that? What game surprised you? Not all at once.
Well, you know, and I think it's going to be the same one that you say.
You think so?
I think
so. You don't know. It might not be.
I think the biggest surprise to me was Broome losing to Union.
Ooh. Yeah. I picked that one wrong, by the way. That was one of the games that I picked wrong. What was the score of that one?
28-22.
28-22.
In overtime.
Union County gets their is that their second win?
Second win, yeah.
Second win of the season. Union County and Quentin Isom, first-year head coach for the Yellow Jackets, second win, rather, on the season. They beat Blacksburg earlier in the year, Alex, and now beating Broome. No, I'm with you. That one's surprising. I picked Broome. Did you pick Union County?
No, I picked Broome on that one, yeah.
You know, I thought that one was a surprise. Kevin on the Facebook stream also says Union County over Broome. That surprised me. I mean, let me tell you this. There were some games last night that I picked and thought, I might get this game wrong. I didn't think that was going to be one of them. I was pretty comfortable thinking that Broome would take care of Union County. Broome obviously has had to deal with some offensive struggles this year as well, just not having the offensive continuity and consistency that they need. Mountain View Prep 27-9 over Chapman. Maybe that surprised me a little bit, Alex. I thought that game might get more out of hand, and at one point last night, Chapman was leading Mountain View. I thought that game might be a little more lopsided. Well,
you want to know another game for me?
Yeah.
At one point last night, a certain team that lost had a 21-0 lead.
No way.
Easley was leading Malden 21-0
God.
In the first quarter.
And they lost.
36-28. So that was kind of a big surprise.
That's brutal.
Because we know what, and no offense to Malden whatsoever, but we know what Malden has done the last couple of years, or not done. I don't know that they've won a game since week 1 of 2022. I think. So that was a big
So
surprise to me
Malden
to
takes
see
down easily.
Malden come back from that. I mean, a lot of teams, they get down 21-0 and they're like, all right, let's throw
Bail
in
it
the
in.
towel.
Yeah.
We're done, so
That's insane, man. Congrats to Malden.
yeah.
But 21-0 lead? Wow.
Yeah.
That's whew. You dropped 21-0, man. That's interesting. We'll take a break, come back, continue the conversation. Week 7 happened last night. A lot to still get to. He's Alex Guest. I'm Cole Bryson. This is the Saturday Scramble, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union and Lumos Fiber. It is the Saturday morning scramble, putting a bow on hour number 1 of the program. He's Alex Guest. I'm Cole Bryson. So good to be with you. I want to say thanks to Founders Federal Credit Union as well as Lumos Fiber. Lumos, a new sponsor to the Saturday's Scramble. Lumos, internet built for the future. Look them up. Thank you, Lumos, as well as Founders Federal Credit Union. Alex, a lot of good games last night. We've talked about Burns-Gaffney. We talked about some games that are happening today, some Saturday football. How about the game that one of the games we have not touched on yet last night, Spartanburg-Dorman City rivalry. Any surprise when you saw that score last night?
It'd help if I turn the mic on.
I was going to say it does help a little bit if you turn the mic on, but you're good now.
I don't think so.
No surprise?
No, I don't think so. You know, no.
No. Good analysis.
I don't think so.
Very good analysis.
That was pretty much what I thought it would be. And if we're being honest, that score, the 23-7, the 2 score difference, if you will, is really kind of how I thought a couple of other games in that region were going to go last night as well.
You know, I did think Spartanburg would win the game. And in fact, I'm with you. I think that's pretty much what I expected as well. Not a ton of scoring by either team. I didn't think Dorman would score a lot. It wouldn't have surprised me last night if Dorman didn't score at all. 23-7 was the final in the city rivalry, Alex. Spartanburg over Dorman. Obviously, a ton of tradition there. But you talk about a Dorman team now that's, 0-2 in region play? Is that right?
0-2 in region play, yeah.
So that's I'm telling you, man, times are crazy right now. Times are crazy. I still think that –
no, they're 1-2. They beat Riverside.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
They beat Riverside. What was that, the first game?
Yeah, that was back the week before the hurricane came through.
Gotcha.
They beat Riverside 24-13.
So they are 1-2. To your point, they beat Riverside. Dorman did. Spartanburg with a 23-7 win over Dorman. Spartanburg, you know what? Look, we all know that Spartanburg has a very good defense. It's going to be interesting to see how they continue throughout the course of the region. I think they're one of the better teams in the region. I really do. So Spartanburg-Dorman last night, always a good game. Again, I kind of thought that Spartanburg would take care of Dorman. Dorman just – they don't have the offense, Alex. They just don't have the guys – they put up 3 points against Burns, 7 points against Spartanburg. So we're only talking the last 2 region games, they've scored 10 points.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's right.
That's surprising.
Yeah.
Dorman High School with all that talent, all that skill.
They've been outscored 37-10 the last 2 region games.
844 fan phone. That's the way you can get in touch with the show. If you were at a game last night that you want to talk about or want to talk about one of the games today, you can do that. Kev from Edmond wants to chime in. Big Kev, what's up, dog?
What's up, fellas?
Good to hear from you, man.
Oh man, I tell you what, it was a good night last night. Not for our end, but we fought hard last night.
And for those listening that don't know, Kev, you were at the Chapman MVP game.
Yeah, man, that was last night was the hardest I've seen us fight in a long time. Like with the young team we got and the green guys we got, man, we fought hard last night. When you got a young team like that and they're young on offense, it may take most of the year to really find what you want to do. And last night we moved the ball and we actually threw the ball pretty good last night when we wanted to. But to put the boxing gloves on and show up to the fight and go 4 rounds with them, we did it last night. Was
Chapman leading that game at one point, Kevin?
We were leading this game 9-6 for a long time, for a good while last night. And just one big play here or a turnover here, and they get momentum to go up. And then, I mean, they're not a bad team, and they got guys all over the place, man. So, but I tell you what, we put the boxing gloves on and went toe-to-toe with them last night.
Was there any – I'm sorry to cut you off. We talked about that game, Kevin, coming into it. Chapman MVP, obviously kind of a homecoming for Gray Ramsey having coached at Chapman. Was there any tension or trash talking going on between the 2 teams last night?
It was going on, man, and they done their little. It was a little front running thing going on for a second, but at the same time, hey, it was emotional for him to come back to the house where he played at, where he done his thing yet and coached that. So I think it was more like it was more emotional thing for most of the first half. And it was just trying to throw big plays at him or trying to do this and make that big play to, I guess, break that ice of being coming to where you played and whatever you feel or however you feel, whatever it may be. But I think that was a lot to do with it when it first jumped off, and it kind of just settled in towards the end and became who could run the ball better. That's what it ended up being, who could run the ball better in that game. And when you got a guy like McGill in the backfield who can take off at any given moment and hard to tackle, that's gonna be a problem late in the game if he's fresh.
What was it like seeing him in person, Kevin? I mean, a lot of people, we talk about Jalen McGill. He's got offers from a lot of schools, D1 schools. Obviously, was it Broome, transferred to MVP? What was it like seeing him in person last night?
Well, I've been watching him since his freshman year because we play Broome, so I've been watching him since his freshman year, man. Just to see the bulk he's put on, the speed, the moves, the blocking. Like this is going to be a guy that's going to go to college and probably start day one.
Wow.
Like if he stays humble and stays working hard, he's going to start wherever he goes for day one.
How about that?
And I can see a big school getting him. Like maybe I wish my Tar Heels could get him, but at the same time, he probably going somewhere to get some money. He probably going to get some NIL somewhere. He may have to go to Alabama. I think Alabama's on his list big, though.
That's awesome.
I really believe that's where he wants to go.
Now, Kev, do you know off the top of your head who Chapman, Alex can probably tell you, who Chapman has next week? I mean, what are we looking at? Chapman now 1 or 2 wins on the season. Is that right, Alex?
Yeah, we are 1-6, and we go down to Union next week.
Yep.
1-6, man. Isn't that crazy to just say out loud?
Right. And you'll have those years sometimes. Yeah. And you go someplace and they just start over. Like they're a bad year for them is going 9-1 or something like that. But like this, like we've never 1-1. You would have to go back a really, really long time for us to be 1 and some change.
Yeah, no doubt.
Now, 2016, we started that year maybe 1-3 or 4 or 0-4, and then won the state championship.
Wow, that's right.
And so we finished that year 10-4.
Yeah,
I mean 11-4.
Man.
So I mean anything can happen in 3A. Everybody's in the playoffs in 3A this year.
Yeah,
but this is just one of them years, man, where your defense leads your offense, and then next year our offense will lead our defense. So we just have to just put this thing together.
Kev, thanks for the call, man. Appreciate you. Kev was talking about the Chapman MVP game last night. You can chime in 844-FAN phone, 844-326-3663. The high school football conversation continues in hour number 2 of the program. We'll talk to Scoot Watson, head football coach of J.L. Mann on the other side. They play, Alex, not last night, today. Tonight. Hillcrest, J.L. Mann. We'll talk about it next. All right.
You got a microwave?
Down in the thing there is.
Oh.
High school football rules on the Saturday morning scramble.
Only on the Hour number 2 of the program coming right at you. He's Alex Guest. I'm Cole Bryson. So good to be with you. A full slate of high school football last night. We've talked about it in hour number 1. A lot of good games. I know that a lot of you are just tuning in, so Alex Guest will give you the scores from around the area in just a few moments from now. But first, I want to go to the phones. 844-FAN-PHONE. It's the Renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone, where we are joined by the head football coach of the J.L. Man Patriots, Coach Scoot Watson. Coach, first of all, hope you and your family are okay and safe after Hurricane Helene.
Yes, sir. We're all doing well, man. Everything's up and running. Everybody's doing well.
Some tough times, wasn't it? Not especially a lot more for those in Western North Carolina, but as a head coach, I'm sure that was difficult to navigate, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Especially not knowing, what was going on with your kids, and some of them not responding because they couldn't charge their phones, and so it was a pretty tough little stretch there.
Absolutely. Coach, before we get into today's game against Hillcrest, for those that don't know, how did your region, this game, decide on being played on Saturday instead of Friday?
Well, we discussed it. Me and Coach Swigert discussed it on Monday. Once we found out that we couldn't practice on Monday, our school district didn't allow us to practice for some safety concerns with driving conditions. So once I got the okay from my AD, to make the call on whether or not we would play on Friday or Saturday, I called Coach Swigert, and we just kind of saw things on the same level, and figured that it'd be important for us to be able to have a full week of practice, especially with this type of game, and so we just decided to play at 7:30, try to keep our routines as close to normal as we possibly could. And get the amount of days that we would get practicing in a normal week.
Coach, this is a big game tonight. And for those that don't know, what time is the game?
7:30.
7:30 as normal. It's funny. J.L. Man Hillcrest, Coach. You've been at J.L. Man now for a few years. This game's turned into a little rivalry in its own way.
Yeah, it's definitely a competitive game. A lot of our kids go to the same churches. A lot of them grew up with each other. Some of them went to the same middle school. So, it's a pretty intense ball game.
And what do you see when you look at Hillcrest on film in 2024? What jumps off the page to you?
Their offensive line. They're massive up front. P.J. Miller and Bryce Rainwater, those are two of the best tackles in the state. And then you look at a quarterback like Caleb Sutton that's elusive, dual threat guy. They're definitely dangerous on offense. Weston Willis at receiver. So, they've got some weapons, man. They've got some weapons.
Coach, obviously you guys have had a break here recently due to the hurricane. What do you feel like you were doing good before the break, and also a couple of things you wanted your team to get better at before this game tonight against Hillcrest?
Well, I thought we did a good job defensively stopping the run. We've did a great job stopping the run all season. And then offensively, we kind of had some hiccups here and there, but we ran the ball really well. And McLeod Darnell, he's growing up right before our eyes, making some real good decisions, and just getting better. My biggest concern coming from the break was conditioning.
Yeah.
The first thing that kids lose is their conditioning. So I was pretty concerned about that, but if you've done the things that you're supposed to do in the off season, especially leading up into the season, then you could feel pretty good about your guys, still maintaining a little bit of shape.
And Coach, when you look at what you guys have done in 2024, an overtime loss to Gaffney, an undefeated Gaffney team, 5-0, only loss on the season. And then you talk about other games that you won, against Daniel. You had Midland Valley to start the year. And then I believe Easley was the last game you guys played. There's a lot of positives to take away, even despite that one overtime loss.
Yeah, definitely, man. A lot of positives. The kids have they've got winter spirits, very competitive group of kids. So, when the going gets tough, those guys, they rely on each other, and, they're able to show some resiliency in each ball game. So I'm pretty happy with what we got right now, so I'm looking forward to this ball game tonight.
Coach, we appreciate you hopping on with us. If JL Man gets the win tonight against Hillcrest, how are they going to do it?
We're going to do it by running the ball, stopping the run, and not making any mistakes on special teams. Having a good game, good clean game in special teams.
I like it, Coach. I appreciate your time, man, and best of luck tonight. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks.
That's Scoot Watson, head football coach of JL. Man, I tell you what, man, that's going to be a good game tonight, Alex. I might have to venture over there and watch. It should be two good teams.
Yeah, no, I mean, Cole, you look at it. They played twice last year. Once,
that's right. I forgot about that.
They played the last game of the regular season. JL Man won both of them, but they played last game of the regular season, and then they played 3 weeks later in the third round of the playoffs. JL Man 42-35 in that last game of the season, and then 21-13 in the playoffs.
JL Man won both.
JL Man won both. So they won both of those games by a combined score of 15 points.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's turned into a little rivalry. I forgot that they played twice last year.
They played twice last year, and then if you go back prior to last year, I mean, JL Man really came on the scene last year. I mean, they made it to the second round of the playoffs in 2022. They took a loss to Gaffney, 42-7 in 2022, but in that second round of the playoffs. But you take a look at kind of the previous games in this series between the two, and it was 41-21 Hillcrest and 52-7 or 25-7 Hillcrest, and I went dyslexic there for a second. That's not going to be good if I go dyslexic reading these scores here in a minute.
Who do you who's your early lean on that one right now?
I picked Man.
Did you?
Yeah.
Who did I pick? Let me see. Do you know?
You picked Man. We
both picked Man.
We both went Man. Yeah.
Hopefully Hillcrest didn't listen, because picking against Hillcrest, maybe they need the bulletin board material, but both picked J. That's going to be a good game. Appreciate Coach Watson hopping on with us. The first time this hour, let's look at what happened last night. A lot of good games, and here is Alex Guest. I'll give you some music behind it again.
Oh, please do.
Just to get you into a little bit of a groove, if you will. Alex Guest, with the scores from last night, week 7 of high school football is in the books. Here are the scores.
The Mavericks.
Oh.
I'm waiting on my music.
Sorry.
There we go.
There you go.
The Mavericks of Malden.
Give me my theme music. That's what he said.
The last time Malden won a football game was August 26, 2022.
Was that a long time?
They lost 9 games after that, then 10 last year, and then 5 to start the year this year. So do the math on that. I'm not that good.
It's a long time.
I'm not that good.
I'm not either, but that's a long time.
They get a win last night, 36-28 at Easley. Easley was up 21-0 at one point in that ball game.
Wow.
And Malden, fighter spirit right there, man. Let me tell you. Boiling's Emerald. Wren 49-12 over Fountain Inn, winners last night. Seneca blanks Berea 42-0. Greer a 35-14 winner over Blue Ridge. That's a big rivalry up in that area. Daniel 54-0 winners over Travelers Rest. Walhalla 20-7, a big win over Pendleton in that region matchup. Crescent 56-7 defeats West Oak. Palmetto 21-10 knocks off Southside Christian. Powdersville defeats Christ Church 33-14. Mountain View Prep 27-9 winners over Chapman. 28-22. This one went to overtime as well. Union County knocks off Broome. Clinton 46-21 winners over Chesney. Landrum a 28-6 winner at Blacksburg. Abbeville knocks off Calhoun Falls 56-0. Whitmire 38-18 winners over Dixie. McCormick falls to Ware Shoals 47-0. Greenwood Christian and Skeeza, winner 48-19 over Thomas Sumter.
Now, what did you say the score of the Wren Fountain Inn?
49
I'll tell you what.
12.
We kind of talked about earlier what surprised us. I'll add that one in there.
Okay.
I didn't think that'd be lopsided. Did you?
I didn't think it'd be that lopsided. I thought Wren would win, but 49-12 is pretty significant.
It's pretty significant. Like
I've seen Fountain Inn play a couple of times this season. They're not bad. They're a good team.
I'm telling you, that one surprised me. Add that to my list of games that surprised me because
furiously type that down.
Yeah. I did pick Wren to win.
Yeah.
However, I thought it would be a little bit closer.
Yeah.
What did we do last night in terms of records, Alex? I know we always upset some folks when we pick against teams and schools. It happens. But how did you and I do last night in our picks?
You were 17-3.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good, but not as good as
19-1. And the one game, I went back and forth all week. I told you in hour number one, I made my picks at 6:15 yesterday.
In the morning?
6:15 p.m.
Okay, good.
Yeah, like as I'm getting ready to walk out the door, I'm like, oh crap, I haven't made my picks. I need to do that real quick. So, and I went back and forth all week, knowing that Union and Broome were playing each other. I knew this game was not at Broome because Broome had some damage to their stadium from the hurricane. So I felt like Broome maybe might not have been as prepared for it as I wanted them to be. And I think they proved me right last night. So I very easily could have gone 20-0 last night, but I picked Broome instead of Union.
That's impressive. That's impressive. And especially when you pick a game, pick all the games this morning after they happen. It's really easy to go undefeated. That's my theory. I want to recap.
So we both got that game wrong.
Broome.
Union and Broome.
I tell you, I didn't expect Union County to beat Broome.
The other two games that you got wrong, Cole, Walhalla at Pendleton. You picked Pendleton.
Dadgummit, the Bulldogs let me down.
And Palmetto at Southside Christian. You picked Southside Christian.
Wow. I did pick those wrong, didn't I? Robert on the Facebook stream, Alex says, what was the Riverside High School, South Carolina, and East Side score? Riverside and East Side, Alex?
33-8. Riverside.
33-8.
33-8.
You know what? It was funny yesterday on Wire to Wire. We were talking to Trey Stewart of the Greer Sports Star, Alex, and he was at that game last night. I thought that game might be a little closer.
Yeah.
I know Eastside has some good players, but Riverside, man, that's a big win for them. I know it's Eastside, and Eastside, they're not looked at as a perennial power in the region, but a big win for Riverside to get things back on track. Obviously, a game you and I were at, Burns Gaffney, the final score 15-9. The Gaffney Indians advance to 2-0 in region play now over the Burns Rebels. Our quick thoughts, we gave them earlier in the first segment and went a little more in depth, Alex, but quick thoughts on that game. I'll tell you this, from a Burns standpoint, defensively, very good. Offensively, not very good. Gaffney standpoint, defensively, very, very good. Gaffney's defense is legit. I would consider them elite. They've got a very good defense. Offensively, Gaffney has so many weapons, but Javon Gilmore, to me, didn't look comfortable last night. I think Jamarcus Smith being on the field adds a different element to that offense. Again, I said it in hour number one. I think that Javon Gilmore is an Arkansas commit. He's going to be very, very good. But when you talk about high school football players, Jamarcus Smith might he's just got to touch the ball. He's one of the best I've ever seen, and he's got to touch the football. Simple as that.
Yeah, he's got to touch the ball one way or the other. Whether you're going to line him up at quarterback, if you want to put him in the backfield and get a handoff, if you're going to throw the ball to him, he's got to touch the ball somehow, some way, however it is. But no, last night was, and I mentioned it earlier in the show. I've seen good football. Last night was not good football.
It was not good. Not good. Again,
I know what good football looks like.
Wasn't that?
And it was not what we saw last night. But,
I'll tell you this. If I would have told you Gaffney had total offense last night, 343 yards of total offense, and Burns only had 48, you would have said, hey, man, Gaffney probably blows them out.
Yeah.
Probably blows them out.
Yeah.
However, it went into double overtime. Jamarcus Smith on the ground, 13 carries, 132 yards, a touchdown. Javon Gilmore was 9 of 18. Jamarcus Smith was 4 of 8 through the air. Kane Rogers for the Burns Rebels was 15 of 24, 73 yards. You know, that's one of the things I told people going into the game about Kane Rogers. Alex, you saw him last night for the first time. You know, he's not the tallest guy. He's not the biggest guy. He doesn't have all the physical attributes that a lot of other quarterbacks have. However, he plays really hard, and you saw some plays last night just break down. Remember that one fumble that went all the way back to the 40-yard line? He makes a lot of really good plays. And I'll tell you, what I like about Kane Rogers for Burns is he takes care of the football. Two interceptions on the entire season. Is he the best quarterback since sliced bread? Absolutely not. The Burns offense has plenty to improve on. They make no bones about it. However, that game last night going in the double overtime said a lot about the Burns defense as well. And Gaffney's defense, both defenses last night were very, very good. Ryan on the Facebook stream says, Gaffney can't take Riverside lightly. Better be prepared. Go Indians. Appreciate you listening, Ryan. Stephen Webb on the Facebook stream, upset with Dorman. He says I'm not going to read the first comment over the air, Stephen. Appreciate you. You can comment whatever you want, though. I'm not going to read it. Stephen says having 30. I'm not going to read that one either. Stephen, appreciate you. Let me just say synopsis. Stephen's not happy about Dorman losing. How about that? Is that okay? Can I say that?
I think you can say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to read it.
Hey, listen. If I were a lifelong Dorman fan, I would not be happy about what I've seen with Dorman this year either.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
And fortunately, I'm not a lifelong Dorman fan.
Well, you're not.
I actually,
Stephen is. Stephen is.
Those at home that listen week to week, they know my affiliation.
Stephen, appreciate you listening to the program or watching the program, rather. Yeah. Texter says, I'm pretty sure the Greer game final score was 49-21.
It might have been.
Greer. Did we get that one wrong?
I'll go find out. Keep in mind, I was compiling these scores and putting them together.
What are we doing here?
At 1 a.m.
What are we doing?
Let me go find out. I could be very wrong about that.
Well, please don't be wrong on this show.
This is why we have the folks at home listen week to week, and they can text in
errors.
They can text in, they can call in, they can put on the Facebook stream how terribly wrong.
Yeah, we are. Steven says, I am a Viking alum, but both kids are Cavs. Steven, I tell you, it's I know it's tough. I love the comments are funny. Again, I just don't want to read them on air. But if you want to see Steven's face comments, you can see them. We're live on Facebook. We're live on Twitter. We're live on YouTube. You can watch the show. You can also listen 97.1 Spartanburg, 97.7 Greenville, and anywhere in the world on the Odyssey app. Wayne on the Facebook stream chimes in. Wayne says, I went to the Generals Boiling Springs game. Wade Hampton needs a lot of help on the defensive side. Wayne, appreciate you listening or watching the show on Facebook. You're right. Wade Hampton, they struggle, man. They struggle not just defensively, but offensively as well. I was surprised they scored 14 last night, Wayne, to be honest with you. So Boiling Springs gets the big win, Alex. A game we haven't talked about yet. Boiling Springs over Wade Hampton, 55-14. The Bulldogs, they looked the part last night. I know they were rusty from people that I talked to that were at the game. Kind of came out a little sluggish. Just weren't really, again, they had 3 weeks off. It's been 3 weeks for everybody, but not a ton of surprise there with Boiling Springs, Wade Hampton, when you saw that score, 55-14.
Hey, you know what?
What's that?
49-21.
Was that the score?
That was the score.
Was the texter right?
The texter was right. Thank you, texter.
Texter, you just took Alex's guess. You just took Alex's job.
You know what? I'm done.
Texter, we appreciate that.
Come do this with Cole every week.
Let's see.
I'll get a little extra sleep.
4-3-4. Appreciate that text.
Yeah.
Again, final score, Greer. Who'd they beat?
Blue Ridge.
49-21. Tell you what, man, Greer's what? Have they won 2 or 3 in a row now? Has Greer lost since before the Burns game? That's the question.
Has Greer lost?
They've won a few games in a row now.
Burns game. Greer has now won 3 in a row.
That's what I thought. Yeah. That's impressive. And Will Young say, look.
They beat Burns.
Yeah.
And then they beat Berea. And now they beat Blue Ridge.
Hey.
49-21 final in that game last night.
Greer's getting a little momentum.
I don't know what that texter was listening. I clearly said 49.
Yeah.
41.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
I'm sure you did. Stephen Webb on the Facebook stream says, okay, how about the comment? We miss Dave Gutshaw at Dorman. I'll read that one.
There we
I'll
go.
read that one, Stephen.
Yeah.
I'll read it. Again, you can comment whatever you want. Sometimes I choose to and not to read certain text on the air because we do have a lot of people listen and
which
appreciate your enthusiasm though.
If anybody listens to your other show, Wire to Wire.
Oh yeah.
They know that you are famous for just reading.
That's true.
And not,
sometimes, and I did good
not
this morning.
proofreading. Yeah,
I did
you
good
did
this
good.
morning. I
Yeah.
didn't. That's right.
I'm proud of you.
Sometimes I do. Just read
just
through
read.
it, blow through it without kind of.
It's easy to do
it
that
is.
though.
It is.
Yeah.
Good stuff. First break of the hour. We got to run. Hit some ads. Pay our bills.
Drink my coffee.
Drink your coffee. Yep. You told those you listeners out there, you can get in on the conversation. If you were at a game last night, 844-FAN phone, 844-326-3663. 8:30, 10 minutes from now, we will be joined by Mark Hodge, the head football coach of the Spartanburg Vikings. We'll continue the high school football conversation next.
Date.
Hour number 2 of the Saturday morning scramble rolling on. A full slate of games that we're breaking down, talking about from last night. We've talked to Scoot Watson, the head football coach of J.O. Man. They play tonight against Hillcrest. We'll continue to get your thoughts from the games that you were at across the upstate last night. But let's go back to the phones where we bring in the head football coach of the Spartanburg Vikings, Coach Mark Hodge. Coach, congratulations on the big win last night for you and your team. What would you say the keys to victory were going into the game and how you guys executed and got the win last night at Dorman?
Oh, man, thank you. I appreciate it. It's great to wake up on a Saturday morning after beating Dorman. The big thing was our efforts, man. Our kids played extremely hard. Now, their kids did too, and you know that's the case going in. And but you can't football team without great efforts, and the efforts have to come before the actual great execution. And we didn't execute, well at all, honestly. We missed a lot of assignments, dropped a lot of balls, blew some things here and there, but we overcame that with our relentless effort. And I feel like as the game continued to go, the greater our effort became. And so that was really what I've been pressing and harping on since Dutch Fork. I didn't think we gave championship effort against Dutch Fork. And so it was great to see that, especially coming off, it's been 3 weeks since we played. And so that was the biggest thing that, and then I thought we did do some things well when we needed to. We executed, some, right before the half, we called an interception and we were able to get a field goal right before the half, kind of take the momentum back. And some other things that I thought we did really well, some short yardage stuff. And, that's going to be, great for us to come back on Monday and work, because with that effort, we'll be able to hopefully clean up some of that stuff and execute better as we move forward.
Coach, you talk about effort and execution. I was thinking about that while you were giving that answer. Do you feel like that the more effort you give throughout the course of a game, the execution will kind of fall into place?
No, I really don't. And some people think we may be over the top in our program with our academic standards and dress standards and practice standards, uniform standards, and all that other stuff. But at the end of the day, that's attention to detail to little things. And execution solely comes back down to concentration.
Gotcha.
And then when your kids can't concentrate in a 50-minute class, they can't concentrate in a 3-hour ball. And so that's the one thing that we really stress is that's why academics matter so much on the football field. Now, obviously, it matters so much more in the game of life and allowing kids to be qualified to do whatever they want to do next. But in a classroom, you're sitting there, nobody's hitting you, nobody's cussing at you, nobody's hollering at you, you're not being hit. And if you can't concentrate in that environment, it's very difficult to concentrate on a football field. And I think some of that was, the chaoses of the last 2 weeks, getting out of a routine, and our brains weren't just really on the same mental cycle. And I think that was some of the reason we didn't execute well, but ultimately you can give great effort and not concentrate. But at the same time, you can concentrate, but without great effort. So you got to do both. But you got to, the effort comes before the execution.
We're talking to Mark Hodge, the head football coach of the Spartanburg Vikings. Spartanburg 23-7 win last night over the Dorman Cavaliers. Coach, for those that don't know, maybe that were at another game last night, who were the Spartanburg Vikings that had a big game, a big night for you and your staff?
Offensive line, beginning with the offensive line. I mean, we rushed 200 yards. It's the first time I've been at Spartanburg that I feel like we can actually play the football violently.
Wow.
Trenton Lynch and Chris in the mix, 2 good running backs. Calvin can come in at running back. And then our H-backs, tight ends, and receivers are doing a much better job blocking perimeter next level. And, they're starting to have fun, being aggressive in the run scheme. So first you got to go to them. The Trey Burt played great, made a lot of throws. We let him go with 4 or 5 drops. And you're going to hear more and more about Trey. Like he's a special player. And, Coach Chittry and Coach Conley are doing a great job of taking him to the next level. And, then defensively, Norman got us one time because, we're not huge in the middle. And they started going fast with a heavy inside run attack and, got us on our heels. But I thought the coaches did a good job of making some adjustments. But then the secondary played really well too. Of course, we had a couple interceptions. They made some huge over field tackles. And then obviously, our normals, Cam Smith played great on both sides of the ball, came in Wildcat, did some great things for us. And so really, a huge team effort, but probably most excited about how our offensive line starting to play.
Coach, when you look at the improvement of the offensive line running game, obviously that's an integral piece of success for any team. You said that you feel like you're getting to a point at Spartanburg, as you've been the head coach, where you're starting to be able to run the football very effectively. What goes into that success? Obviously, you got to have the right personnel, but what do you feel like the guys are doing to be able to elevate y'all to the next level?
It's mindset, first of all. You got to have athletes that are strong, and we have that. But you got to have a mindset. You have a mindset of really nastiness within the rules of football. But then you got such, minute details with footwork and hand placements and eyes and all that other stuff. So it's very difficult to play offensive line. And so, our kids are really buying into that. We got, the best offensive line staff in the country with Coach McAbee and Lancaster and Love. And so they're doing a great job of, teaching all those guys, including the H-backs. And it's fun to listen to those three coaches talk because, they're very good at what they do, very passionate. And, each week we just get a little bit more detailed in what we're doing, and you're starting to see the combinations work better and their kids communicating better. And they're now having fun being physical. And then, they know that on this play we can score with us a pass, a screen, a handoff, and that makes it exciting when any play call has got a chance to end up in a touchdown.
Coach, I know it's just Saturday morning, so you haven't had a chance, I'm sure, as of yet, but what do you know about this Boiling Springs team that you guys will face on Friday?
Well, Coach Reel's done a great job. They got a mentality about them. They're well coached. They play really, really hard. They're moving from a team that had a chip on their shoulder to a swagger.
Yeah.
And, saw them against Gaffney, and, really they outplayed Gaffney, honestly. And, because they played Gaffney before we were supposed to. So I've seen that film. And that was the thing that stood out is, they were the most physical, probably violent team on the field that night, honestly, top to bottom. And so, it's going to be, another heavyweight, think of it like a heavyweight boxing match. The team that gets tired of being hit will be the one that loses because, nobody gets tired of hitting, but, it comes down to will you take another punch. And so we better buckle up and be ready to go.
Coach, we appreciate your time. Congratulations on the win last night, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I hope all you guys are well and family from Storm and everything. Just from myself and the Viking family, just prayers for everybody out there, and just thank God for blessings that we all do have. So, but
absolutely
appreciate y'all. Enjoy your weekend.
Absolutely. Well said. Agree with you there, and same to you and your staff as well. That's Mark Hodge, the head football coach of the Spartanburg Vikings. A big win last night for them, Alex, over Dorman, as you just heard from the head football coach, 23-7 win as they now, as he said, look to play a very good Boiling Springs team. And 6 days from now, that should be a lot of fun on Friday night.
Yeah, that should be a lot of fun. Just, having already seen Boiling Springs and what he mentioned it. Boiling Springs outplayed Gaffney 3 weeks ago. So, seeing Boiling Springs already, and then also having not seen Spartanburg in person, but having seen them on film, that's going to be a fun game.
Yeah, and he mentioned the physical aspect. I think it will be a physical game. Look, when you get into the region games with Spartanburg, Burns, Gaffney, Dorman, Boiling Springs, it's a physical brand of football. And that's what a lot of people don't understand about this region in particular compared to others. It is I'll tell you this. I watched Gaffney last night defensively with Andrew Roop and those guys they have in Zion Ratchford. You talk about physical brand of football. Yeah. Those guys hit, and they hit hard, and they come at you. And look, I saw some hits last night that I haven't seen all season. Just laying the lumber. Andrew Roop's one of the best players in the region. So a lot of good region games to be played. And remember, there were some decisions out there, Alex, this past week by the region, by the athletic directors to eliminate one of the games. And I think, I understand it. I don't think the ADs and the coaches wanted to have to fit 2 games into that very last week of the regular season. So Burns and Dorman will have a bye that last week, Alex,
Yeah.
while the other teams play.
Yeah. And I mean, if you look at the games that were quote unquote canceled, if that's what you want to call it, and the games that were rescheduled, Boiling Springs will play Eastside.
That's right.
At the end of the season. So that I think could end up being a good matchup. Just, I think Boiling Springs at that point will have secured a playoff spot.
Yeah.
And I could see Matt Reel and his coaching staff maybe resting some players there. Obviously, you want to get a win and you want to win as many games as possible, but I could see them jumping out to a 3 or 4 score lead and then trying to rest some players there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens as the season winds down and they go back and play those games that should have been played 2 weeks ago.
Your final chance to chime in on the conversation. If you were at a game last night, you can get in touch with the program, 71307. Start your text with the word fan. We'll also take a peek ahead, Alex, to games happening on Friday, week 8. I don't want to say that out loud. Is it week 8 already? Are we here?
Seems like it.
Oh, my word. Where'd the season go?
But now it's week 8 of 11. So,
well,
instead
that
of
makes
10.
it a little better, but still, there's no way it's week 8.
Week 8.
God.
Yeah.
High school football season goes way too fast. Last segment of the show next. Well, week 7's in the books. And we look ahead to week numero 8. Alex Guest. Saturday Scramble rolls on. We appreciate you listening to the show or watching the show. However you found us, we appreciate you being a part of the show every Saturday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. right here on the Fan Upstate. We talked a lot of games last night, Obviously, some good ones. You know, I do think the theme that I took away, Alex, from last night's games and the people that I talked to before we look at week 8, there were a lot. We talked about it with the game we were at with Burns Gaffney. There was some bad football there, but there was a lot of bad football from what I heard across the upstate. And I think a lot of that might have to do with kids just not practicing in, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So I think there was a lot of rust.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think so. One thing I do want to mention before we head to week 8 is I feel bad because I got this score wrong.
Yeah, you should feel terrible.
So Greer beat Blue Ridge 49-21.
Yep.
Greer's quarterback, how does 19.6 yards per completion
Pretty good.
sound? He was Caden Rowland. 12 of 15 last night, 236 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Very good. Very good night for Rowland. I've seen him one time this year. He's a good quarterback. He's good. That's awesome. Player of the week worthy?
Possibly.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. He's in the conversation for sure. I want to say thanks to Founders Federal Credit Union for sponsoring the Saturday Scramble, as well as Lumos Internet. Lumos Internet, built for the future. Let's take a peek. Let's take a look. Week 8, Alex Guest.
Yeah.
6 days from now, I don't like it. I don't like high school football going by this fast. However, the reality is you snap, and it goes by quickly every single season. All right, what games stand out next week? We have Easley Hillcrest. We have JL Man versus TL Ham.
That one.
Ooh.
Yeah, that one jumps off right there.
It does.
Right in your face.
You have Greenville Malden. You have Greenwood Woodmont. Bowling Springs Spartanburg.
That one jumps out. Yeah.
There's possibly your game of the week, right? Bowling Springs Spartanburg should be very good. We talked to Mark Hodge a few minutes ago on the Saturday Scramble. If you missed that interview, you can download the free Odyssey app and go back and listen anytime with the rewind feature. That's AUDACY. I encourage you, download the app. It's free. You can go back and listen if you miss something anytime.
Yep.
Bowling Springs Spartanburg will be very good. Burns East Side. I think Burns bounces back next week. Gaffney, Alex Gaffney at Riverside. Somebody on the stream earlier said Ryan said Gaffney can't take Riverside lightly. Riverside also comes.
I 100% agree that Gaffney can't take Riverside lightly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can never take any opponent lightly, regardless of who they are, what their record is, what you've done with them in the past, anything like that. But Riverside, Matthew Rochester has that Riverside team playing really, really good football right now. And Gaffney came out and looked a little bit flat last night.
And it's at the reservation. No comment.
Don't confuse the people at home.
Well, I'm just telling you, the game's always between Gaffney and Riverside is always going to be at the reservation.
Yeah.
I'm okay. Riverside technically is called the reservation as well.
Well, okay.
Technically.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to bark up Alex's tree there. Wade Hampton, Dorman. I expect Dorman to bounce back.
Yeah.
Southside Emerald, Fountain Inn, Westside. That could be a good game. Wren Lawrence, Daniel Pickens, Seneca Greer, Travelers Rest, Blue Ridge.
Hey,
next
you know
week.
what that is?
What's that?
That's the battle for the moonshine jug. I don't know
TR and Blue Ridge?
Yeah, I don't know if they still do it.
They should.
But there is a moonshine jug that gets passed back and forth from winter to winter each year. So that's painted in each of the school's colors.
They should. They should do that. Hey, Christchurch, Carolina, Powdersville, Palmetto, St. Joe South. And there's a good game. St. Joe Southside Christian rivalry game. Chapman, Union County. Can Chapman get back on track?
That's two teams that still really need a win. I mean, I know Union won last night.
Coming off a win. That's big, right?
Chapman really needs a win.
How about this game? Mountain View was Woodruff off last night?
I think so.
Mountain View Woodruff. Could be a good game, right?
Yeah.
Woodruff's offense has been explosive this year. That could be a good one. Blacksburg versus Bonnie and Clyde. Is that what that says?
Bonnie Cone
Sorry.
Classical Academy.
Sorry, I read that wrong.
They're out of Huntersville. North Carolina.
Okay.
Which is just right up above Charlotte.
Clinton Landrum on Friday. Clinton had a big win last night over Chesney. Chesney plays Liberty, Abbeville, Whitmire. Let's see what else. Dixie, Ware, Shoals, and Whitmire, Thornwell. Yeah, I mean, I think that Boiling Spring Spartanburg game is probably the one that jumps off the page, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I don't know that Whitmire's playing next week either because Thornwell, they disbanded their team at the beginning of the season. So, but yeah, I think that Boiling Spring Spartanburg game really jumps off the page. That could definitely have region. I mean, honestly, at this point, I think Region 2 5A is wide open still. We went into the game 3 weeks ago, the Gaffney Boiling Springs game 3 weeks ago, saying that game very well could determine the region champion. But at this point, I really think that region's wide open. So that game next week between Boiling Springs and Spartanburg, I think has high region implication, high region championship implications.
Games where? Games
Spartanburg.
At Spartanburg.
Yeah.
No, I think so. Look, I think that matchup's fascinating for several reasons. Number one, I think that's two good defenses. You've seen Boiling Springs this year. I've seen them a little bit. Not actually, I have. I saw them against Chapman.
Yeah.
And the what was it? Week 2, week 3. Anyways, you and I both have seen Boiling Springs. We know Spartanburg's defense is legit. We just talked to Mark Hodge a few minutes ago. I'm with you. That's going to be a fantastic football game. But before we wrap up the program, how about tonight? Week 7's not totally over.
Yeah.
Alex, for those that just tuned in, you say the word on the street is, rumor has it, there are, 4 or 5 games?
4 games. There's 5 games in our coverage area. One of them Spartanburg Christian.
Okay.
And then Greenwood, Greenville playing at noon.
Say it again.
Greenwood
Greenville.
at Greenville.
That could be a good one.
Serene Stadium.
Yep.
So if you're not interested in any college football today,
Which you need to go to a doctor if you're not.
yeah,
Go check yourself in.
Check out
silly
Greenville, Greenwood at Serene Stadium. And then tonight, 7:30, Hillcrest at J.L. Mann. A little rivalry game there.
Let's not talk about that game versus the college football because that's unfair because the 7:30 time slot tonight's loaded.
Yeah.
You're right, though. That 7:30 game, Hillcrest, we talked to Scoot Watson, head football coach at J.L. Mann. You're right. That's going to be a really, really good football game. You said you picked J.L. Mann?
I picked J.L. Mann. So the 4 games this week, or tonight, 4 games tonight, we picked 3 of them the same. I picked Greenville. You picked Greenwood.
I feel good about that.
Okay.
So there's no way I can come back to beat you this week then, right? If we picked.
Correct.
Now, you went what last night? 19-1?
19-1.
That's pretty good.
You were 17-3. Also pretty good.
Yeah, but, I picked the games before they happen. You pick them after they happen. So it makes it easy to go 19-1 after. I don't like losing.
I'll set the record straight. One of these.
I don't like losing. I don't like to lose.
I know. Do you want me to change one of my other picks so that way there's the possibility we tie?
No, absolutely not. I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to, cheat. What is our overall season total? Do you have that in front of you?
You are 122-29.
Okay. What is the winning percentage?
80.79.
That's not bad.
81% basically.
Not bad.
I am 118-33. So I'm 4 games behind you still on the overall season. So that's 78.15.
It's good though. Really good.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. The week the games got canceled, I was going undefeated that week.
Yeah, we were both 3-0 that week.
Well, we were 3-0, but I'm telling you, I felt good about my other picks too.
I don't know.
I felt good.
I don't know.
I felt really
I don't
good.
even know who we picked that week because I
felt good. So we went 3-0 the week before the hurricane.
Yeah.
I can finally say I went undefeated. Right?
We went 3-0 the week of the hurricane.
The week of. That's right. Dorman and Burns played
the 3 games. Dorman and Burns, Lexington, Lawrence, Chapman, BHP, Blacksburg, Broome. The one game we didn't pick was the Dorman Burns game.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I'd have picked Burns, I think, right? And just for those that don't know, Alex, that have just tuned in, been under a rock for the last few days, the high school league did extend the regular season by a week. So the state championship game, Alex, has been pushed back to the second weekend of December.
It's December 12th, 13th, and 14th. Yeah.
That's Thursday, Friday, Saturday,
yes.
Right? So that's when the state championship will be played. It will be at South Carolina State. So they got the venue there. The South Carolina High School League was able to lock that down. Do you think that was the right move, or what do you think there?
I would have loved to see 2 weeks. That's just, personal preference. I would have loved to see all the games get played
Me too.
they would have supposed to be.
Yeah.
But if you're going to say, you know what, we can't push it back 2 weeks because whatever your reasoning is, give me at least 1 week.
I just wish somebody, like the executive committee, and when that meeting took place, like I want to be on that meeting. I just wish somebody had the nuts to say, hey, well, why can't y'all move it back 2 weeks this time? Because you know
you
what?
Did it in 2016.
When Dutch Fork was in Lower State, by God, we moved it.
Yeah.
So why can't we move it now? And I just wish somebody would and again, why can't somebody just ask the tough questions? Ask it.
Yeah.
Y'all moved it 2 weeks, didn't have a freaking problem. Dutch Fork was in the Lower State. I wonder if that mattered, come on, guys. And the Dutch, the lower part of the state, lower state teams upset because they're having to, sit and wait. I mean, come on.
Well, guess what? The upstate had to do that
so ridiculous.
Every other year this has happened.
And again, for those out there, it's not I don't put it all on Jerome because it's the executive committee at the end of the day that made the decision. I just wish somebody would ask the tough questions. Like, why?
Jerome has the commissioner title.
Yeah.
But I didn't see Jerome voting.
Yeah.
In that.
Well,
it's the executive committee that's voting on that. So, yeah.
Tough questions.
It is.
I wish more people could ask tough questions.
I've got to go update all my schedule spreadsheets, though, to reflect when the games are actually happening.
That's true. I didn't think about that. Yeah, it's true. My thoughts and prayers with you.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, week 7's in the book. If you missed any part of the show, download the free Odyssey app. You can go back and listen anytime. We're also live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. We'll see you next Saturday right here on the Saturday Morning Scramble, brought to you by Lumos Internet, built for the future, and Founders Federal Credit Union.
See ya.